what is tech culture like? Because we hear that a lot. You know, it's like, oh yeah, big tech companies and blah 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 blah. Me personally, I've never been out to California. I've never been involved, or I know some people in the tech world
You've
or
never been to
whatever,
California?
but never been to California. Never had that exposure to that type of culture. Um, what is that culture like? Just out of straight, it's just to satisfy my own curiosity.
It is. You ever watch Silicon Valley, the show on HBO?
I've been told about it.
You've been told about it? Yeah, you want to get a glimpse of what it
It's
is?
a comedy.
It's exactly like that. I mean,
Yeah.
they embellish the hell out of it,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
like
yeah.
it's very similar to that. In
Gotcha.
fact, I could not watch the first season in its entirety because I'm like that hits way too close to home.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say this: it is one of the most invigorating experiences that I've ever had when it comes to entrepreneurship and innovation.
Interesting.
Like there is no. I know we kind of tout ourselves here at Gainesville as like innovative and entrepreneurial, and we have a little tech scene and yada yada. Yo, you're talking about Silicon Valley. It's generational. It's generational over there.
Right.
They've been doing this for generations, literally.
Yeah.
Literally. Our investor's grandfather was one of the investors in Sun Microsystems, right? Like it's like we're talking about.
It goes way back.
It goes way back, right? And that cycle of successes I'm specifically talking about Bay Area, but this can be attributed to some other locations in the United States. That cycle of creating innovation, fostering innovation, growing it, IPOing or some sort of exit event, IPOing, merger, whatever, and then feeding back into the ecosystem. Because like when you IPO, you merge, like your first, it depends on how you set up your cap table and your shares and whatnot. Yeah, your first 50, 100 employees, 200 employees, like all of a sudden, all those people just became millionaires, right? And they can continue working, or they can feed back into the ecosystem and say, well, after this, I'm going to stop this, and I'm going to start my own thing,
stuff. Yeah.
right? So that cycle, right? That
Gotcha.
continuous cycle. We don't have that here yet, unfortunately. We kind of had it a little bit. And let me just be clear, too, for all my startup and tech listeners out there. It doesn't have to be a successful, quote unquote, exit. I mean, it can also be somewhere where a company closes and multiple different companies stem out of that.
Right.
Right. Kind of like what happened with Groove Shark here. Right.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be a unicorn. You don't have to be on Wall Street. It just has to be some sort of cycle where it feeds back into the ecosystem.